Hi everyone, this is Group 3 of Section 12 Organizational Behavior, and we would be discussing to you about Part 5 Organizational Processes and Characteristics, specifically Chapter 14 Organizational Structure and Design. And here are the chapter learning objectives. First is to identify the elements of organizational structure and describe mechanistic and organic structures. 2 is to explain what influences an organization's structure. 3 is to describe the basic types of organizational structures. And lastly is to identify and discuss 4 contemporary issues in organizational structure. For my personal experience, it is already given that I have been part of numerous organizations, and with that instance, it has given me the gist or the idea as to how organizations run their day-to-day operations, specifically when it comes to the roles assigned to them. And that comes organizational structure, which is an essential aspect of any organization, and this has 3 elements: organizational structure itself, organizational design, and organizational charts. So first, organizational design. So this refers to the process of selecting and managing prospects or aspects of organizational structure and culture to enable the organization to achieve its goals. So this involves determining the most effective way to structure the organization to ensure that it can achieve its objectives. Second is organizational structure itself, which is the formal system of tasks, reporting, and authority relationships within which an organization does its work. So this includes the way in which tasks are divided and assigned, and how reporting lines are established, and the types of authority relationships that exist within the organization. And lastly, organizational chart is a diagram or the chain of command and reporting relationships in a company. So this helps to provide a visual representation of the different relationships that exist within an organization and how they interact with each other. The chart typically include boxes representing different positions in the organization, as well as lines connecting the boxes to indicate reporting relationships and lines of authority.
First, let's talk about division of labor. This refers to the degree to which tasks and responsibilities are divided and assigned to different individuals or groups within an organization. Division of labor can lead to specialization, which allows employees to become experts in their own respective roles, leading to increased productivity and efficiency. Next, we have span of control, which refers to the number of subordinates that a manager can effectively manage. The wider the span of control, the more employees a manager can supervise, but less the attention they can give to each individual. A narrow span of control means fewer employees are under the manager's supervision, but they can receive more individualized attention. The next one is hierarchy. It refers to the level of authority within an organization, where individuals in higher positions have more authority and decision-making power. A clear hierarchy refers and helps to establish order and structure within the organization. Formalization is the degree to which an organization's rules, policies, and procedures are codified and enforced. A highly formalized organization has strict procedures and processes that are followed consistently, whereas low level of formalization allows for more flexibility and adaptability. Finally, we have centralization, which refers to the degree to which decision making is concentrated in a few individuals or groups within an organization. A highly centralized organization has decision making power concentrated at the top, while the centralized organization spreads decision making power throughout the organization. These characteristics of organizational structure, including division of labor, span of control, hierarchy, formalization, and centralization, all play an important role in shaping an organization's culture, productivity, and efficiency. It is important for organizations to carefully consider and balance these characteristics when designing their organizational structure. This structure is characterized by many layers of management, with each layer having a narrow span of control. It provides a more specific and detailed definition of roles and responsibilities within the organization. In a tall organizational structure, communication can take longer as information is passed up and down the various levels of management. It can also lead to slower decision making as approval and input are required from multiple levels. However, it can also provide opportunities for employees to advance and develop their careers within the organization. And to summarize, a narrow span of control in an organizational chart can result in a tall structure with many layers of management. While it can offer greater control and definition of roles, it can also lead to slower communication and decision making. Organizations need to consider the trade-offs and balance their needs when designing their organizational chart.
The number of people reporting directly to an individual is that person's span of control. Some experts call this span of management. Illustrates a flatter organizational structure with a wider span of control than the structure shown. The lowest level supervisor supervises 7 rather than the 3 employees in the taller structure. Clearly, narrow spans of control are most costly, but they also provide closer supervision and more coaching. Narrower span of control are necessary for novel and complex tasks. Wider spans of control subordinates greater autonomy and responsibility for self-management and are best for routine production type work. Centralized organization concentrating power and decision-making authority at high levels of the organization. The two subcomponents of centralization are participation in decision-making and hierarchy of authority. This is the power and decision-making authority concentrated at higher levels. Clear lines of communication and responsibility. Decision implementation tends to be straightforward. Decentralized organizations tend to have flatter structures than the centralized organization because employees' greater autonomy decrease the need for middle management. This is have a lower levels, have more autonomy and authority for making decisions. Flatter structures, less need for middle management, promotes product innovation and faster decision making. Next is best for non-routine tasks in a complex environment.
Mechanistic and organic structures are two contrasting approaches to organizing work within an organization. Mechanistic structures are characterized by strict hierarchies, formalized procedures, centralized decision making, and job descriptions are uniform. This structure may minimize cost but fit best with a slow changing environment. The mechanistic structure is slow to react or capitalize when new opportunities arise. An example of a mechanistic structure is a large hierarchical corporation such as a government agency or a multinational corporation. These organizations typically have a clear chain of command, with each employee having a defined role and specific tasks to perform. Decisions are made by top-level executives with little input from lower-level employees. In contrast, organic structures are more flexible with fewer rules and procedures, decentralized decision-making, and a greater emphasis on collaboration and teamwork. Organic organizations have faster awareness and response to competitive changes, as well as faster decision-making, which usually increase job satisfaction and commitment of an employee. An example of an organic structure is a startup company or a small entrepreneurial business. These organizations are typically more flexible, with employees taking on multiple roles and collaborating closely to achieve common goals. Decisions are often made through a consensus building process with input from all members of the organization. The choice between a mechanic and organic structures depends on the organization's goals, resources, and culture. While mechanistic structures may be slow and do not react well to change, it is seen to be more efficient for large and established organizations. On the other hand, organic structures can be more effective for smaller, innovative companies that need to be nimble and adaptable to change. Let's move on to Nordstorm's Employee Handbook. Nordstorm's Employee Handbook is a handbook given to new employees which contains 75 words. The Nordstorm Employee Handbook emphasizes the importance of customer service and treating customers with respect and kindness. It also emphasizes the importance of teamwork, honesty, and integrity, and it encourages employees to take ownership of their work and be accountable for their actions. One notable aspect of Nordstorm's Employee Handbook is that It is intentionally brief and straightforward, rather than being filled with legal jargon and technical language. The handbook is written in simple conversational language that is easy for employees to understand. This reflects Nordstorm's commitment to creating a culture that is open, transparent, and accessible to all employees regardless of their level or role within the company.
In addition to what was previously mentioned, it can be said that although it is useful to describe mechanistic and organic forms of organizational structure, in reality, all organizations fall somewhere between these two extremes. As you can see from the table over here, we have one side leaning more towards the mechanistic structure and another leaning towards a more organic structure. And of course, there are things in the middle which reflect bits from both worlds. After looking at the difference between these two structures, let's look into the determinants of organizational structure. In building an organizational structure that is effective and well, it should be aligned with a firm's business strategy. In terms of production technology, which is one of the factors influencing organizational structure, there are certain structures attributed to certain strategies. If a firm specializes on unit production, they produce in small batches or produce one-of-a-kind custom products, all while being a part of a flat structure with a low managerial span of control. Examples of firms which fall under unit production include advertising and consulting firms. Up next, we have something we are all quite familiar with, and it's mass production. If a business specializes in mass production, they can work their organizational structure around something tall and bureaucratic with a large managerial span of control. Firms which fall under mass production include those that produce large volumes of identical products with the use of machines and assembly lines, kind of like how breweries work. Lastly, we have firms that make use of continuous production, where machines make the product while having human employees monitor each machine and map out needed changes. So it's a mix of man and machine, you could say. In this case, a tall and thin structure is needed, something resembling an inverted pyramid. To make this more understandable, these types of firms would require a mechanistic structure with low levels of supervision. Examples of real-life firms that specialize in continuous production are ExxonMobil, a large multinational oil and gas corporation.
What influences organizational structure? First is business strategy. A company's strategy can cause the structure to change or shift as a business creates specific goals, marketing strategies, and market analysis. It may need to change its structure. For example, my former company whose goal is to open a new location needs to adjust its team and department sizes. The second one is external environmental. An external environment is composed of all the outside factors or influences that impact the operations of the business. The business must act or react to keep up its flows of operations. For example, a rapidly changing environment requires a more flexible structure than a more stable environment. Environmental factors affecting businesses includes employees, competitors, suppliers, customer needs, owners, government, regulation, market trends, technological developments, social factors, and lastly, the economic factors. The third one is nature of the organizational talent. Talent is conceptualized as a code of the most effective leaders and managers at all levels who can help the organization fulfill its aspiration and drive performances. For example, if a worker have professional skills, such as lawyers or scientists, and need to work together, then a flatter or team-based structure would be more appropriate than a taller or bureaucratic structure. Next is organizational size. Organizational size is the structural property of the organization and can be defined in terms of space, volume, sales volume, net assets, customers, or the number of the person employed in the organization. In this study, organizational size denotes the number of employees and managers employed in the organization. For example, large organizations tend to have more work specialization, more vertical levels, rules, regulation, and so on. So they tend to be more mechanistic. Expectation of how employees should behave. Employers often expect their employees to be respectful, hardworking, and team players.
Employer expectations can have several benefits like keeping employees focused and motivated to stay on task. Example, if employees are expected to follow the explicit rules and procedures or hierarchical centralized structure would be called for. Next, organization's production technology. Production technology refers to all measures and facilities for the industrial production of goods. The basis is the transfer of scientific knowledge into technologically controllable and economically usable productivity system. Example, the organization of production is a process whereby production factors such as labor, capital, and land are coordinated within the across organizations to produce goods and services. This includes an organization's managerial practices and routines and its cooperative ties to other organizations. Next, organizational change. Organizational change refers to the action in which a company or businesses alters a major component of its organization, such as its culture and underlying technologies or infrastructure it uses to operate, or its internal processes. So for example, as the environmental and business strategies change, organizational structures change too. Next is, what are the types of organizational structure? First one is divisional structure, a system in which a company segments its employees based on the products or markets as opposed to their job roles. For example, McDonald's has a divisional organizational structure where each division, based on the geographical location, is assigned operational responsibilities and strategic objectives. This divisional structure allows the company to focus on specific areas of the business while still maintaining the centralized control and stabilization. Next one is the matrix structure. A matrix organization is a company structure where teams report to multiple leaders. The matrix designs keeps open communication between teams and can help companies create more innovative products and services. Using this structure prevents team from needing to realign every time a new project begins. For example, Starbucks utilizes a matrix organizational structure that combines several functional and product-based divisions. This means these are multiple overlapping divisions and reporting structures within the overall organization, which makes sense considering its sheer size and global presence.
Now for the organizational chart matrix structure. I realize if someone who has worked in a matrix structure may appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with colleagues from different departments and work on diverse projects, but may also feel overwhelmed by the complexity of managing multiple reporting lines and conflicting priorities. The matrix structure is a type of an organizational chart that combines the functional and project or product team structures. In a structure, individuals have two reporting lines, one to their functional supervisor and another to a project or product team leader. The matrix structure allows to increase collaboration and communication among teams, as well as a greater flexibility and adaptability to changes in an organization. It also encourages innovation and creativity by bringing together individuals with diverse skill sets and perspectives. However, the matrix structure can also create ambiguity and confusion in roles and responsibilities, particularly if there are conflicting priorities between the functional and project teams. The pre-bureaucratic structure is typically found in smaller organizations, where there is low standardization and centralization. Communication tends to be one-on-one rather than being coordinated through formal channels. This type of structure is suitable for organizations that require quick decision-making and flexibility. In contrast, a bureaucratic structure is characterized by formal division of labor, hierarchy, and standardization of work procedures. This structure is suitable for larger organizations where there is a need for stability, efficiency, and consistency in operation. In a bureaucratic structure, employees are typically grouped into subunits based on different criteria such as their knowledge and skills, business function, work process, output, client, or location. These subunits allow for specialization and coordination of tasks, which can improve efficiency and effectiveness. However, the bureaucratic structure can also be rigid and slow to adapt to changes in the environment. It can create communication barriers and restrict creativity and innovation. As a result, some organizations have moved towards more flexible structures such as a matrix structure or the flat structure, which allows the greater collaboration and decentralization of decision making.
Naalala ko nung sa Antipolo pa ako nakatira. Nilipat ako ng boss ko sa branch na malapit sa amin. Akala ko sinuwerte lang ako pero parte pala ito ng structures that arise from different groupings. So ang structure that arise from different groupings have 6 types. Una is yung na-experience ko, divisional structure. Ang structure na to groups people by their geographic area, product, service, or market. Pangalawa is functional structure. Itong structure na to groups people based on their skills or tools used. Ang example na to is, pag accountant ka, mapupunta ka sa accounting department. Third structure is matrix structure. When employees report to both project, product team, and a functional manager. For example, an engineer may work on a new product development project while also reporting to a engineering manager. Pang-apat is team-based structure, composed of horizontal or vertical teams, define a part or all of their organization. Ang example na to is mga kumpanya na may dedicated teams para sa marketing, sales, or customer service. Panglima is lattice structure, which is a cross-functional and sub-teams are formed and dissolved as needed. Example nito is a team of designers, engineers, and marketers may be formed to develop a new product. Lastly is network structure, a collection of autonomous units, firms that act as a single entity. So, ang example nito is a network of independent consultants who collaborate on projects. So, those 6 structures has its own advantages and is suited for different companies and situations. Ayun yung natutunan ko sa parte na to.
Contemporary issue in organizational structure. Virtual organizations is an organization that contracts out almost all of its functions except for the company name and managing the coordination among the contractors. A type of organization that operates primarily through electronic means, such as the internet, email, video conferencing, and other communication technologies. It is a network of geographically dispersed individuals and groups who work together as a team towards a common goal or project. Next is integrating employees. It refers to the process of helping new employees feel comfortable and welcome in their new work environment, and ensuring they are equipped with the knowledge, skills, and resources they need to perform their job effectively. This process is also known as onboarding or orientation. Segmenting employees into divisions, functional areas, or groups such as direct contact, liaison role, task force, and cross-functional teams. Communities in practice. Groups or people who shared expertise and interest in a joint enterprise that informally binds them together. An organization's communities of practice will last for as long as the employees are still interested to interact and learn from each other. Contemporary issues in organizational structure refer to challenges or trends that are currently affecting the way organizations are designed, managed, and operated. The following are effects of restructuring on performance. First, it can improve a struggling firm's performance. 2. Not a cure-all. 3. Restructuring is stressful and can be demotivating. And lastly, employees who survive downsizing suffer stress, decreased commitment, and higher turnover intentions. After reading the chapter, how do you think your career path might differ in a hierarchical versus flat organization? If you started your own company selling iPhone apps, what organizational structure would you create?